any pointers on managing multiple personality disorder in teenagers? So this one's really fun. So no, there are no pointers because there's so many caveats to this particular thing, and so your mileage may vary. So I'm sure there's some genius psychological person who's written a book on all this stuff, and so feel free to go read that book. I'm just going to give you my kind of 2 cents, my opinion. So first off, in general, we believe that teenagers' personalities are not set, and so as part of the developmental process of being a teenager, of being a kid, that they're constantly growing all the time, and they have the right and the ability to change. And so you see this oftentimes in kids who are, like super, sweet kids, and they're, super outgoing when they're younger, and then they hit puberty and they become very kind of reserved, and they wear their hair over their eyes, and you're like, wow, where is this coming from? And yeah, there could be other stuff going on, but they also have the right to kind of change who they are. And so as a result, it's very rare, except for in like extreme circumstances, it's very rare for a psychiatrist or someone in the mental health world to give the diagnosis of a personality disorder during teenage years, because again, we just expect them to have different and very disparate facets of their personality, and that's okay. Okay. The key is if there are any self-harming things, if it's like a major shift that's out of the blue, if there's any statements of harm to others, those are all red flags, and by all means, make sure that you reach out to a qualified health professional so that they can help. Mental health professionals so they can help walk you through that. But yeah, so that's the first thing. So in the idea of multiple personality disorders for kids, well, the personality disorder thing is not personality is not really set. The multiple part, so that is super controversial. So within the realm of mental health clinicians, so some folks say it doesn't really exist, other folks say yes, it absolutely exists, and then there's a whole continuum of people in the middle. And each clinician has the right to kind of stake their claim and be somewhere on that spectrum. And so, depending on who you talk to, you're going to get a different response. For me, as a child psychiatrist, again, it's unless a kiddo has been through a major traumatic experience, I would say is super rare to see multiple personalities, distinct personalities. I like to give a lot of leeway for normal, even though we try not to say that. Like I've tried to eliminate the word normal, even though I say it occasionally. But we go more towards the typical, atypical is what I try to say is, oh, that's pretty standard, or that's typical, or that's kind of unusual and atypical. And so when it comes to the typical experience of a teenager, yeah, they're going to have times when emotions are running high, especially when they get into relationships, because teenagers feel things very strongly. So it's like, oh my God, they're the best person ever. I can't live without them. And then when they break up, they're like, oh my God, my life is over with. This is horrible. And to manage that stress, sometimes it'll come out in a unique way. Sometimes it's, a change of voice, or a change in tone, or a change in demeanor, a change in what you wear, a change in how you wear it, a change in friends, and all of those things you just kind of keep an eye on. So I wouldn't necessarily say they're distinct personalities; it's just different manifestations of whatever stressor and coping skill they're trying to use. And then the key to managing. So, and again, your mileage may vary, is you meet the teenager as best as you can where they're at. So most teenagers aren't necessarily looking for an answer. They're not necessarily looking for you to give them an answer, but they do absolutely want to feel validated, and they absolutely want to have a sounding board. And by sounding board, like I said, you don't have to have the right answer. You can just sit and go, yeah, tell me more about that, because I don't know who that kid is. I don't know what drama's going on. But by all means, feel free to fill me in. And then you just sit and you listen and you ask clarifying questions, because you used to be a teenager at some point. So if it sounds super dramatic, you can be like, yeah, that sounds dramatic. How are you handling that? And yeah, and just validate, validate, validate. And then if you feel that there are red flags, like I said, with thoughts of self-harm, harm to others, that sort of thing, then refer the teenager to a qualified mental health professional. But otherwise, yeah, just keep an eye on them and be as supportive as possible. And over time, ideally, you'll see those personalities going from extremes to becoming more somewhere in the middle. And then you'll recognize, oh, it's not actually multiple personalities in this particular case. It's actually just the kid's manifestation of different parts of their stress, and they're going to be okay. Yeah, and so that's how I manage multiple personalities in teenagers.